presenter since they made it through. Matt Shaw from the And He Takes That Chance podcast, Huddersfield, of course, and from Talk Forest TV, Dan Watts. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Matt. How you doing, guys? Nervous?
Yes, good morning, Paul. All good, thanks.
Okay, let's start with you, Matt, if we may. Okay, Huddersfield have been there more recently than Nottingham Forest, which is a bit like saying, you know, that was kind of before the Titanic sank, to be honest, to Nottingham Forest fans. But how do you rate your chances on Sunday? Because, you know, Nottingham Forest have got the kind of momentum of, and without wishing you ill, I think every football fan in the country is, or a Huddersfield fan, secretly would quite like Forest back in the Premier League. They feel it's their time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I realise it's a fair while since Nottingham Forest were in the Premier League, and I think there's a lot of people who'll be very excited at the prospect of having them back. But we're here to put a pin in that, if you like. So, we were there 5 years ago. You know, we've got the experience of being down at Wembley. We've got players that were one player in Jonathan Hogg who was there on that occasion as well. So, and I think we've got 14 finals between the squad that have played in different types of player finals. So there's plenty of experience, and you know, it's almost 10 years ago to the day as well that we played Sheffield United at Wembley as well. So we're well versed down there for sure.
I mean, the thing about it is, I suppose, and we've seen it a lot more recently, but I wonder whether that was around the time that there seemed to be very much a Premier League of two halves, and we've got the kind of almost the top four, certainly at the moment the top three, that seem to be untouchable, and then the rest of us. On my side, West Ham managed to claw their way into some kind of European football, but even so, we know we're nowhere near touching the obvious big three: Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. How do you feel about that? I mean, what would need to change with Huddersfield if you do make it through on Sunday?
We say that, Paul, but I think last time we were in it, we were in the bottom one, and I think that was pretty much how we felt. You know, it's tough. You know, you look at Huddersfield Town, and Huddersfield Town don't run with a big squad or a big wage bill or any extravagant players, if you like. So the real issue for us is bridging the gap between the Championship and the Premier League, and it's seismic. You know, it's huge. You look at Burnley, who are coming down, and their wage bill is said to be around 80-90 million, and that's, you know, about 70-80 million more than Huddersfield Town's. You know, and the gap between the two divisions, and you consider the World Cup coming up as well. There's only, you know, a shorter period between the playoff game and the start of next season. It leaves a really short gap for either Huddersfield or Nottingham Forest to bridge, and it's going to be very difficult. But you know, we've done it before, so fingers crossed, and hopefully we can do it again.
Let's make sure they're staying with us. He's from the And He Takes That Chance podcast, Huddersfield fan. Let's go now to the Forest representative this morning. Delighted to have on the station once again Dan Watts from Talk Forest TV. Now, Dan, you don't need me to remind you, but the history of Nottingham Forest is remarkable. 1 league title, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups, FA Charity Shield, 2 European Cups, and even 1 UEFA Super Cup. That was a long time ago now, though, Dan. Were you alive the last time Nottingham Forest were in the Premier League in the top tier?
I'll be honest with you, I was only one. I mean, I was like 8 months, 9 months when last time I went to Wembley, so I mean, it's been sort of like long while since we've been like to Wembley. I mean, Premier League, I was only 6 or 7, so I can't even remember it, like, fully.
Well, I mean, I think you first went down from the Premier League back in '93, and that was a couple of years after you lost out in the FA Cup final. When you look back, do you sometimes get fed up with the focus on the glory days? Because, I mean, the Brian Clough era was a fantastic era. It was decades ago.
I do hear a lot of stories from the back in the days, which is quite nice to hear, because you look at them days and you think, oh, brilliant, we've done this, but, I mean, we've got to create our own history now. I mean, it took us like 30 years to get to Wembley. I mean, it does mad him, but I feel like nowadays, especially with what we're doing, I feel like it's our time to recreate our own history now.
I mean, I said, I'm going back now to Matt Shaw for the And He Takes That Chance podcast. You're not here, I know, to big up Forest, but I think everybody's going to have a huge respect for what Steve Cooper's achieved, Matt, since he took over. Pretty much they were bottom of the table. If you factored in the Derby County points deduction and Reading, they were at the foot of the table, and they almost got automatic promotion. It has been an incredible story this season, Forest.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I think both teams have, you know, had phenomenal stories. You look at Huddersfield last year, and we won 3 games of our last 24. Going into, you know, at the end of last season, and we almost got sucked into League One, and Forest were bottom of the table. I think Dan will correct me, but I think it was 7 games, and then they came to
games.
They came to our place with Stephen Reid as you know, as an interim head coach, if you like, and they came and beat us 2-0. They changed system and really sort of stirred things up, and they've done great.
I didn't see that coming, to be fair. When we did win that day, it was like, oh, wow, we won.
And I mentioned the illustrious past of Forest. We should remind, I mean, Huddersfield Town, of course, hugely important sporting place anyway, but I think you were the first English club to win 3 successive English League titles. It was back in the 20s, but that kind of history and heritage is also often overlooked, I think, by those of us who follow, I mean, I don't, I'm a West Ham fan, but people who follow the big heads, and the Man Uniteds and the Chelsea, tend to overlook how important sides like yours and Nottingham Forest, and even West Ham are to the fabric of football. I mean, they're what make the Football League so great, I think, that kind of commitment from local fans.
Yeah, there's some fantastic stories from both clubs when you look back through the past. You know, the Brian Clough era from Nottingham Forest is something I remember. It's fantastic times. And Huddersfield have got their own storied chapters as well, the 1920s and 30s. You know, Huddersfield.
Yeah, but also, what about the 50s? I mean, Bill Shankly was your boss, and he had Dennis Law and Ray Wilson playing for him. I mean, that must have been a golden era.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we've had some fantastic players, and going into the 70s as well. Frank Worthington, you know, wowed the crowds down at the old Leeds Road ground as well. So, from 1970s onwards, it got a little bit bleak, I'll be honest, but prior to that, Huddersfield Town were a big player in the English game for sure.
Now, we've got a bit of an obsession on this show with Frank Worthington. I've spoken about him many times. I met him once at a charity do, and I read his book, which you may well have read, Matt, and it charts more than his football career. You get that from the title. It's called One Hump or Two, because he wasn't a Camel fan. It was something quite different. But is it fair to say that it's that kind of thing that make the club at the heart of the fans' affection? It's not so much a list of league titles, it's those individual characters and players who make Huddersfield Town.
Yeah, like Frank was a lovable rogue, and there's a lot of stories that probably aren't repeatable for TalkSport, but, you know, a fantastic character. And, you know, we've got our own characters this year, and the whole success of Huddersfield Town this season has been built on the back of, you know, fantastic characters, and that's exactly what our head of football operations, Lee Bromby, wanted to do at the start of this season, go out and get good characters like Tom Lees, and, you know, we've already got Jonathan Hogg, Danny Ward and Jordan Rhodes came back, and, you know, we're a team now full of good people, and there's nobody that doesn't want to be there, and everybody's pushing in the same direction, and they're doing great things. Let
me ask a couple of specific questions to you, if I may, Dan. Dan Watts from the Chalk Forest TV operation. At the moment, on Aston Villa forward Keenan Davis, he's made cameo appearances. I think he's had a hamstring. He's hoping to force his way back into the starting 11, but you're going to be with that Lewis Grabban, who's got a hamstring as well, and defender Max Lowe. Are you concerned about the lineup, Dan? Who would you like to see run out for Forest?
It's always been that one about Grabban, that we relied on him for so many years, but now we've got players like Davis, we've got Sam Surridge, who's came in January and just been like, it's those to shot ratio has just been awesome. I mean, Max Lowe being that, Jack Colback dropped in that left wing back and just don't look like he plays. Keenan Davis, I mean, a lot of Villa fans were saying that he's not the best, but since he came to Forest, he just gave us that different dynamic. I mean, Steve Cooper does play really good football, but, I mean, Keenan Davis just gave us that bit more of a dynamic play. Like, if we need to get rid of it, Davis is up there, and he can do a lot more, like keeping the ball up. And it reminds me a little bit of a young Mikel Antonio when we had him. So I'm not too concerned because...
Well, he's quite a physical player, though, isn't he, Keenan? I mean, he's one of these people who might intimidate Huddersfield. I know Huddersfield are a tough side as well, but he's quite a physical player.
Yeah, he is. And when he came back against Sheffield United in the playoffs, I was like, he will be a big player for us in 2 games before we got to Wembley, and it could be a big part if we start him or not.
Okay, predictions from you guys in a moment. So think about how you think he might go on Sunday. But let me talk to you as well, if I may, Matt, about the injury situation. Ollie Turton went off at half-time, I think, in the first leg against Luton. Obviously, I presume you'd like him back in the side and fit and well on Sunday.
Yeah, Ollie Turton has been, the turnaround in his performances have been phenomenal as well. You know, he's a real sort of flagship, if you like, for how things have gone this year. You know, he, at the start of the season, he was struggling a little bit, and, you know, in terms of form, he's really come through, and the fans nickname him the Ginger Cafu at right back. He's been absolutely superb.
The Ginger Cafu, I love that.
But we also have a Spanish under-21 international right back in Pippa as well, who's available. So we've got options, and I presume we'll probably play a back three. So it'll come back to the right wing back.
So that's what I think. Pippa started in the second leg of that semi-final, didn't he? I think
he did. Yeah,
great prospect for the future. Okay, it's that moment, chaps. Let me start with you, if I may. First of all, then Dan Watts from the Chalk Forest TV operation. Dan, your prediction. You can have two if you like, Dan, for Sunday. One from your head and one from your heart. How do you think it's going to go? Will you be back in the Premier League, Dan, next season?
Going off my head, if any of you guys do watch my videos with my previews, it's always been a 2-1 victory. So,
right.
With my head, it's going to be a 2-1. I had a dream Jimmy Garner put one top corner in the last minute for some reason. In my heart, I think it will be a really tough game. I think we got like the best attack in the league. Huddersfield got the best defence, and I just think that we might just nick it last minute.
Ooh, okay. Cautious optimism there, then, Matt, from Dan Watts. Matt Shaw's has the final word on this one. Your prediction? I think Dan thinks they might nick it for us 2-1. What do you reckon, Matt?
I think it's a real 50-50 game, Paul. I really do.
What a great game it's going to be, though, I think.
I genuinely think it'll come down to whoever handles the pressure the most on the day. You've got 80,000 people on top of you, millions of people watching around the world, and £200 million at stake. You know, Huddersfield have got the experience of the playoffs, you know, throughout the playing squad. It really will come down to who handles that situation better, and you know, we've got the experience, so I'm very hopeful. You know, the heart says very hopeful that we can nick it like Dan says. I'm hoping that the longer the game goes on and the tighter it becomes, and that's where we excel, especially through set pieces and Sorba Thomas. But
so are you right? Is he right then, Dan? I think he's about the strength of your defence. So do you think the key is not letting Forest score at all?
I think if Forest score first, it'll be very difficult for us, yeah.
Ooh, it's going to be a fantastic game. You'll hear it on TalkSport. Of course, we've been there for the playoffs for you, powered by fans. Huge thanks and good luck to both of them there until one of them arrives in the Premier League, in which case I wish them to lose every game against West Ham. That was Matt Shaw from Huddersfield. He Takes That Chance podcast. Dan Watts from Talk Forest TV. Remind us why it's called, Matt, as well, why it's called And He Takes That Chance. Where's that from?
It's the commentary. It's almost like our Kenneth Wolstenholme moment, if you like. So it's the commentary moment from when Christopher Schindler put the penalty into the corner to send us into the Premier League from 2017.
Well, And He Takes That Chance. Well, good luck to both of you on Sunday. That was Matt Shaw, Dan Watts talking to me, Paul Ross, new guys on TalkSport, where, my friends, we're live till 5.
Hawksby and Jacobs.